Hello everyone, another one for you today. I have discussed this topic before, but I would like to get into it a little deeper in this one. So, we're going to be talking about when the narcissist realizes playing you was a bad idea. So let's talk about it. Why did they play with you? Why did they do that? You thought it was something to do with you. You thought you weren't good enough. Maybe you weren't the type of person that they wanted you to be. Maybe you didn't have enough money. Maybe you weren't beautiful or handsome enough. Maybe you didn't have the right job. Maybe you didn't live in the right area. Maybe you didn't have the right connections. Because remember, these are all things that narcissists value. They are things that they look for. But actually, once you've already been targeted, you've already been targeted for one of those things already. So it had nothing to do with that. The reason why is because they need constant entertainment. They get bored very easily. And you will have noticed that in your relationship with them. It's like no matter what you do, you could never make them happy. They were never satisfied with anything you did. Because they have these insatiable desires that can never be fulfilled. They're never going to be happy or content with anything. And no one ever taught them how to love. No one ever taught them what love is. You see, when we're growing up in our childhoods, we're supposed to see that in our family. Maybe from our parents. We're supposed to see how our parents give and receive love. Because that is the image of love that we learn when we're growing up. And then we learn how to give love to other people and how to receive it. But the problem is, they came from a very difficult environment in their childhood, where there was abuse, where there was neglect. Maybe they didn't spend too much time with their parents, or if they did, it wasn't anything good. They probably saw their parents fighting a lot, arguing, shouting at each other. So they never learned how to love. They never learned what love is. And yet, you were expecting this person to love you. It doesn't make any sense when you think about it. If someone has never had this image of love growing up, they've never been shown that, they've never learned about it, then how are they supposed to give that to you? And I know what you're thinking, it's so easy for me. How can I give my love to them? And so eagerly and enthusiastically, how am I able to do that? Well, for you, maybe it wasn't your parents, but it was someone in your childhood. They gave you this image, this vision of love. and it was healthy. You saw what love was meant to be like. But also, you must have witnessed something that was unhealthy as well. Because that's why many of you, when you end up with a narcissist, some of you think that it's normal. Because you also don't know what a healthy relationship is meant to look like. But you do have some idea of it, because that's what you're chasing. You're chasing their love, their validation. But it's not really their validation. It's actually just the validation that you may never have gotten from your parents. And that doesn't always mean that your parents were narcissistic. Maybe they just didn't have much time. Maybe they were very busy with work or with your siblings. It could have been anything. It doesn't always mean that your parents were narcissistic. It could mean that, but not always. But that's really what this is. They never learned how to love. And that is why they don't have any love to give. Because they were also never taught to love themselves. And if you don't love yourself, how can you love anyone else? But you may look at their interactions with other people in their life. They will triangulate you with other people, and it may look like they can love other people just fine. It's just you. That's always how it is. It's always just you. But then they can treat everyone else fine. They're just doing that because that's what narcissists do. Whatever you want, they will withhold from you and they will give it to someone else. It doesn't mean that it's real. It may just be that the other people they see as extensions of themselves. And you are like a mirror, a reflection. You show them everything that they are not. Because that's the thing, when you come to them and you try to love them, they don't even believe that they deserve to be loved. They believe that they are unlovable. So when you're bringing your love to them, that's like an insult. It's like an attack. They don't want to deal with that. And that's why they end up turning against you. That's why they end up hating you. Because you're just coming to them and showing them everything that they are not. So of course they're not going to like that. But you take it as though there must be something wrong with you. There's not. Everything you're doing is fine. You want a normal, healthy relationship. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just they can't receive it. And you have to take responsibility as well, because you are constantly trying to give your love to someone who cannot receive it. And then you're pointing the finger at them, you're blaming them, and you end up disliking them, when really you've just got to look at yourself and ask yourself, why am I giving my love to someone who can't receive it? Why am I trying to get love from someone who cannot give it to me? That's how you really need to look at it. You don't have to try and punish them. You don't have to try and get revenge. There's no need for you to do any of that, because in the end, they will realize that playing you was a bad idea. Because they are very unappreciative of everything, very ungrateful. They're never happy with anything in their lives, including you. And as time goes by, they have nothing other than endless failed relationships in their past, where they were never happy, where they never got what they wanted. Because if you look at it, they wanted your love. They wanted love too. Everyone wants love. But they wanted it in a way where you would attach to them and they didn't have to attach to you. Where you were just giving them endless attention and admiration. That's their idea of love. And their love is conditional, so it's not even real love. But that's what they wanted from you, to be their endless source of supply. To be waiting on them, beck and call, to be there whenever they needed you, even while they mistreated you. Because in their minds, that is love. And if you can't do that, then you didn't love them anyway. That's how they see it. But yes, in the end, they do realize that playing you was a bad idea. Because narcissists, they do not age well. They get older and they become more bitter and angry with all of their failed relationships. They couldn't keep anyone. And they just begin to hate everyone and everything. They begin to hate the world. And of course they may look back and wonder, what if they had given you a chance? Maybe things would have worked out. Maybe they could have been happy. Because they do recognize the difference between something that is good and something that is bad. And they will look back and realize that things were better in the past. But when they get older, their looks begin to fade away. They're no longer attractive or desirable. What can they do? They're stuck. Of course, they will try and pretend as though it doesn't bother them. But it does. Because these things are very important to narcissists. Superficial things, their image. But at some point, their image just dies away. When that is all that they ever really had. So in the end, they're left with nothing but a shell of who they used to be. And that is a very sad way for them to go out. But that's just how it is. And that's why when you see an elderly narcissist, they are very bitter and resentful. They become more covert, they play the victim, and it's like everything is so unfair to them. Like they had to go through so much, because that's how they really feel inside. That's how they end up. But it doesn't have to be that way for you. Because I know if you're watching this right now, you do have love to give. Trust me, there are people out there who can receive it. Don't worry about the narcissist. They can't receive your love. They can't appreciate it. So what? Someone else will. Someone else will value and cherish it the way that they should. So don't let this experience change you, because that's what they want as well. They want you to become so paranoid and distrustful, where you think that the next person is going to do you wrong as well. because they want to isolate you. They want you to be alone. The last thing they want to see is you moving on and having the one thing that they couldn't have. Real intimacy, an emotional connection, real love. That's something they're never going to get to experience. The closest they got with that was with you, and they threw that away. So what makes you think they're going to have that with anyone else? They don't want anything to do with it. They just want you to give them your attention, admire them, but they're not interested in a connection or intimacy. They can't even be vulnerable with you. They can't open up to you. So they're never going to have that. So when they try to triangulate you, don't worry about it. Because you just have to remember what I'm saying to you right now. It isn't real. And they will never have anything real. Even what they had with you, that wasn't real for them. Because they couldn't receive it. Even though it was real for you, because you could receive. Or at least there was no love for them that you were receiving. It was actually just a reflection of the love that you were giving to them. That's right. You thought you were in love with the narcissist. You were actually just in love with yourself. Because look back and remember how they mirrored you. They mirrored your likes and interests. They mirrored what you wanted. You wanted love, a relationship, affection, maybe marriage, children, whatever you wanted. They mirrored that back to you. They told you they were about it. And that's what you fell in love with. This fantasy, this dream that they were not about. You fell in love with that. You fell in love with a reflection of yourself. I know it's crazy when you think about it, but that's the truth. You fell in love with a reflection of yourself, with a reflection of your own likes, passions, and interests, because it was what you wanted. But they were not able to give that to you. They were only able to play the role. But now the show's over and it's time to come back to reality. You need to realize that it was all a game. You were being played. You were being tricked, deceived, cheated, lied to. It's time to wake up now. Yeah, in the end, they will have to realize that playing you was a bad idea. Of course, they're going to look back and wonder how things would have been different if they treated you right. Of course, they're going to wonder about that. Because when they're left in their old age and they're surrounded by people who are just as fake as them, people who don't really care about them, and the one person who actually gave a damn, they threw you away like the winning lottery ticket. Of course they're going to feel foolish. But you have to remember that they are so full of pride and arrogance, they're not going to let you see that. They're not going to tell you that. But of course, they do feel regret. They do regret that. And let that be a reminder to you. Love always wins in the end. It really does. Alright, it's getting quite dark again now. I might go for a quick walk and then head back to the car. But I'd just like to thank you all for joining me today. I do appreciate all of your support. We've got 93 live viewers, only 31 thumbs ups. So please give this video a thumbs up down below if it was helpful for you tonight. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. And if you'd like to book a one-on-one with me, you can book that through my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. And check out my Instagram as well. I've got new pictures and videos of my travels every day on there. It is Narc Survivor YouTube on Instagram. Thank you all for joining me, and you all have a great day.